Yeah, we are back for another Friday Games review. And yes, we dropped a massive amount of money on video equipment this week, almost none of which works. But actually, no, the video card, the video ingestion card that we have, which is a Blackmagic Decklink Quad, is working awesomely. Yeah. It's so much better than the USB stuff we had. We picked up a bunch of HDMI to SDI converters for our devices and quickly found that HDMI is the devil's connection.
It absolutely is. We didn't realize that, in fact, our HDMI to SDI cards would not actually properly negotiate a signal with our devices. So we're gonna have some really fun.
And I called them up too, and they're like, "Why should we negotiate?"
Exactly. Yeah. So we're learning, but hopefully it's not going to completely suck today. We certainly are excited about the new camera that we're using this week, and so
no, we used it last week.
That's true, we did use it last week.
Yeah, but you weren't here.
I wasn't here, so that's
and in my mind, you're not here this week either because the most important part of you is missing.
I know, my coat. Oh, I mean the beard. Sorry.
Yeah. And you'll notice that in an effort to cover for Dan, I have been growing this thing since last episode, and this is what I get after a week's worth of growth. I was actually going to demonstrate what happens to Dan after a week's worth of growth, but I couldn't actually find a royalty-free picture of Charles Manson, so...
So yes, we both have half a beard today. So I hope this doesn't make anyone disappointed out there. Also, I did want to note that I did go to Green Bay last week for Memorial Day, and I will say Green Bay really does know how to celebrate Memorial Day properly. It was a solemn and beautiful occasion, and so I am wearing this cheese hat. Yes, it's not a full cheese head, but
wait,
if there's
that's your cheese hat? You're like, oh, maybe I'll wear my cheese hat, and I'm like, well, awesome. I know you. You're gonna pick up a cheese hat. That's not a cheese hat. That's a hat with a picture of cheese on it.
That's true. So I actually, if there's any demand, I will actually wear a real cheese hat.
It also, I just want to say, I don't think the viewers at home can see this, but on the back it says 1995 NFC Central Champions.
As if that's like the least important thing they ever did.
Are they still stuck in the past? Is that what's going on?
No. I got this hat from someone who'd been collecting it for a long time. So yeah, that's
that was like their glory days, 1995.
No, their glory day was 2010.
Because they'll pass you by.
Yeah, I know
glory
exactly.
Days.
Yeah, right. All right.
Make a young girl cry. Let's get to the beer. So today we're drinking.
He's drinking. Mine is still over the other side of the room.
Oh, Trevor, can you get Dan's beer, please?
Yeah, all right.
Perfect.
Thank you. Coming from
Trevor Johns, by the way, is engineering for us today, which means that Android probably won't ship on time. You take an hour out of Trevor's schedule.
Nothing's going to happen at Google I/O this year because Trevor is now working with us, and so
Trevor basically does all our jobs. Anyway, so we are drinking Sanctification Sour Blonde today, and it's one of those fancy ones. It's bottle fermented. Comes in a champagne cork.
There we are.
Woohoo!
Happy Friday, everyone.
Happy Friday.
Cheers. Well, after all the stress,
that is a sour ale.
Absolutely. Well, after all the stress of having everything not work this week, all week long, it's really nice to settle down and have.
I literally spent all day yesterday trying to get our HDMI setup to work. I finally found that if we plugged our old HDMI setup into the new one and told it, because the old one had the ability to set the format, so if I told it what format I wanted it to be, and then unplugged it and quickly plugged in the other one, it would remember. So it's sort of this like homeopathic format setting.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's why we love HDMI so much. Thank you, electronics industry. In any event, we should probably get on to looking at games.
Well, I do want to say one more thing. We should probably warn everyone that we have no portrait mode. So basically, if the game's not in landscape, we're pretty much screwed HDMI-wise.
Yeah. Does this camera on the desk?
The camera works.
It does work. Okay. So we'll be going old school and showing you actual.
Hey, it's all we had last week.
That's right.
The really good thing about the new HDMI box though is the frame rate's twice as high.
Awesome.
So hopefully we'll be able to see some. Well, it looks like it is anyway.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Yeah. It should be. It should be. Hopefully you'll be able to appreciate the smooth animations on our Transformer Prime here that
Yeah.
has been our test mule here. For all
If you don't
of
mind me saying, though, my God, this beer is really good.
Yes.
I wish I'd gotten more of it.
I know, it's just great.
It's
it's a
little
done.
on the expensive side.
Well, yeah,
but this is what I think.
It was worth it, given all the trouble you put in this week, all the extra hours. I think you've earned this beer.
Well, I have a philosophy. It's how rich are you? Like if you're, I don't know, Zuckerberg, for instance,
right,
with his famous pig.
Right.
You're asking, can I afford this island?
Right.
And if you're really well off, like better off than I am, you're like, this car. You don't have to care, right?
Exactly.
It's like you're rich enough not to care about cars or houses.
Right. Exactly.
Right. But I'm just rich enough to not care about beer. Like, I don't look at the price. Like, do I want to drink this beer? I'm gonna drink this beer.
But we are rich enough not to get a bit of wine from when George Washington was still alive. That's kind of our.
No, that's where we drew the line.
That's where we drew the line. Yeah, exactly.
Well, it was a Madeira, and a 300-year-old Madeira is really just getting started.
That's right. We wouldn't want to drink it ahead of its time. No. All right, so let's take a look at what we have today. We're actually going to look at 7 games. I wanted to start by re-looking at some. Actually, we're going to go in reverse chronological order. Let's do that.
No. I think you're right. I think we should revisit.
Okay, so we're gonna have to go into camera mode here because again, we do not have HDMI for portrait stuff, and Xbugs is a portrait game. There we are. Aha! No, I was right the first time. All right, so
yay!
So here we are, old school. I guess we should try to. We're gonna use our old-fashioned zoom here. There we are.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. This is exciting. So this was great. So we actually looked at Xbugs on the show a few weeks ago, and you really liked the game. Thought it was a really clever take on the bug squashing genre, which I guess exists now. And
right.
But on tablets, it really left something to be desired. So the developer came back and said to us this week, renominated the title and said, "Hey, look at all the cool stuff we've done." And I will say the game looks beautiful. I mean, it really, really does look beautiful. You can see the menus are all really high resolution. You can especially see since we're zoomed in here, but it just looks really, really sharp on this display.
Wow, how close can we get?
I know, that's some kind of
grandpa there. Can we see the pen tiles? Almost. Wow.
Yeah, that's not
okay.
bad. Well, this is an LCD, so we have full resolution on this guy. This is
really?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Awesome. I know. That's why it looks so good. All right, so to kind of talk a little bit about this game, if you've played any of these kind of bug squashing games before, you'll know. We're talking about almost all the graphics have actually been upgraded in the game to high quality. And to this resolution, which is really cool. The only thing I really wanted to point out is that you have to really be careful with these kinds of games that you look at every place that the back key can be hit. So first of all, we're right now in the middle of a game, and we get the option to quit. And
why did that happen? I mean, it seems like we could have just gone back one screen.
Absolutely. So this is an example of something that our reviewers would actually catch. Now, admittedly, we're in sort of a tutorial mode, so that's sort of understandable. But I'll show you the big thing is if we actually go here, we bring this up, and now the back key doesn't do anything anymore. So we've gone like halfway.
Yeah.
And the idea is the back key should always do something. And what I mean by do something, I mean navigate somewhere. I don't mean pop up something that says the back key doesn't work here, which we've seen before. I mean, better than nothing. Yeah. There's a C+ for effort there, but
not sure that it's better than nothing.
At least the user gets some sort of notification that they hit the back key.
Pop up something that, are you sure you wanted an Android device?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, why would you ignore one of the most important features of Android?
So that's that. The menu's still there, but it's really, I think, more a result of the fact that they're using OpenFaint, and OpenFaint requires the menu key to do settings. But at least
which, by the way, you will still get dinged on, and we love the OpenFaint guys, but they're not moving super fast on this one.
Yeah, they have a new platform, and so I think it's going to get better. But I think that for right now, if you buyer beware with your with using OpenFaint, that you're going to be stuck with these legacy menus unless you can rewire the interface yourself. And I think actually you can. I think you actually can put a direct link into the settings within your app within their API because they basically give you a lot of that stuff. So
that would make a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So in any case, think about that when you're using these libraries. All right, I just wanted to get, that was Xbugs. It's very cool. I think that with a few of those back key issues fixed, that it's definitely something that the editorial review committee should look at.
Did you agree that it was less difficult, by the way?
What
The Xbox levels, because that was one of the things they tried to do, right?
Oh, I don't know. I should have looked. I actually didn't play it that long. I mostly looked to say, all right, graphics look good. I played like 3 levels, and then that was it. So,
but you played 3 levels. That's cool. Because I couldn't get past the first one. So,
so that was Xbox. We're going to go in sort of. We had this idea here that we were going to go in reverse chronological order based upon when the game should have been written.
Right.
So obviously we have to start with Spaced Events. We actually have the developer of Spaced Events live on our Hangout, I believe. Are we right about that?
They had intended to come in. You never know.
I think this is another game that is only portrait, so we're going to have to switch once again to camera number 2. Or 3 or 4, whichever one it is. So there we are. Now this is actually kind of nice because you can see the whole game here, because the rest of it is really just a picture of a legacy phone device. And actually, this by the way was my favorite phone for quite a long time, and I still sort of feel that Nokia never really.
That's a Nokia what?
5900 I think was it's very similar to the 5900. What I like about
if you've ever seen people that obsessively collect baseball cards, or Dan is like that with mobile devices and GPUs.
It's that
encyclopedic memory.
So in any case, what I loved about this particular device is this was like the last non-WAP device that Nokia did, and after this device, they had to retool their whole UI around WAP so they could get soft keys, and their UI started to get a lot less intuitive. So that being said, I looked at this game and I tried to figure out how to use it, and I realized I had to use it exactly like a Nokia phone. It even has the numbers for the menus, so it's a very nice emulation of the Nokia experience. Definitely you need to make sure the back key works, even if you're emulating, especially since that's what the clear key does. So come on, guys! If you're gonna go all the way to emulating the device, at least make the regular keys emulate the keys that are on the screen. So that would be my only take on this, is that it still needs to behave like an Android app, even if you're going to this level, and it wouldn't be hard. So, but that is, if you've played the original game, which as far as I can tell, and I think I played this game maybe once. You actually. The original game doesn't actually use the keys, as I recall, so we're stuck using. How do I fire again? There we are.
Yeah. It's like 1 and 4, I think.
Oh, yeah, I accidentally hit the back the C key, but that's what the game is. For those of you who are really into nostalgia, you will probably love this game. It was probably the best game I think made for this device. That being said,
wow.
Probably not something.
And this was released when?
Actually, that's a good question. I don't know when this game was originally released, but maybe the developer can tell us some more about it.
It certainly was released when mobile phones were a thing, right? It's not like you're...
Yeah,
you're not in that huge brick. Guess what? I'm calling you on a phone.
Well, I think I'm trying to think if this game was just preloaded, because I don't think they even had a store to buy stuff. So I think this game was preloaded on some devices.
Nice.
But I'm not sure.
I wonder where the original developer of this game is.
I don't know.
There's got to be a story there.
There does. But anyways, it's actually really fun, and it's great to see an emulation. Obviously, or this simulation, is what we call this. It's not something I think that the vast majority of Android users would be really excited about, but there's, I'm sure there is a contingent that's going to be really excited about this game. Do we have the developer on the Hangout? I'd love to hear more about it.
Question.
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Oh, excellent.
Sweet.
This is great. Usually we don't have anybody on our Hangout.
Nice. It's like, why aren't you using the other weapon?
Of course, now we get to test our audio system and see if we can actually hear.
Oh, that's a good point. I don't know, have we tested this before?
Okay, stop playing the game. Come on.
Sorry. It is fun.
Okay, can we... Hello, is this Christian?
Hello.
Ah.
My sound is working. But I'm not the developer of this game. I'm the developer of Cow Cannon. There's a mistake.
Oh, well, there you go. So is there another dude online?
No.
Well, let's go over to Cow Cannon.
Let's go to Cow Cannon. We'll go out of
get
our.
rid of this.
We'll go out of our order that things were, and actually we can go into. No, this is another. That's right. This is another portrait.
Another portrait.
This is our week of portrait games. It's So I had a lot of fun with this game, and It's a physics game, kind of. Probably the only thing about this game that really struck me as being really odd when I started playing it was that I really wasn't used to a cannon being a slingshot. And I spent about 5 minutes going like, wait, I tipped the cannon and it's doing exactly the opposite of where I want the cow to go.
That messed me up too. Yeah.
And so this is sort of the angry cow game, and then I realized, oh, it's actually a slingshot. So I think that if one wants to make it work like a slingshot, one should probably make it look like a slingshot. But that was my, I like the idea that the cow actually kind of turns into the cannon when it stops flying.
Well, if you had any sort of, like UIQ, like I've seen games put like a little handle on the back or something like that. Because I've seen, other games have this same effect, and they don't necessarily have a slingshot, but you've got to give the user some cue as to what's going on.
Yeah, I did spend about 30 seconds, and it's funny because I actually understood how the game was supposed to work, and then I spent about 30 seconds because it almost works. I'm like, well, I'm trying to shoot forward, so I keep spinning around here. Eventually, it'll become. Oh, I just killed my cow. In any case,
I am sort of wondering. I take it that you're not from these parts, and I'm wondering which parts you are from where cows turn into cannons when they land. That threw me for a loop.
Oh, well, I'm from Austria, and we
That
normally...
No, say no more.
Austria
no
has
more.
talented cows.
Yeah.
That's what we need. That's all we needed to know.
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
We love cows.
So tell us about the making of this game. Did you have a large team? Is it just you? How did you go about it?
We are two people, a friend of mine and me. Mm-hmm. And the game we developed about 2 years ago. It was our first attempt to do an Android game, actually.
So how'd you find it? Did you run into any serious issues, or was it easy?
Well, actually, it was easy to develop. We had only one test device, so we had previewed, no, it's not working on my device. And we couldn't do that. We were only two people, and with one device, only the user review helped us.
So what kind of things did users report, and what kind of things did, how easy were they to fix when users kind of said, hey, it's not working on my device?
One problem was from the Dutch event, because some mobile phones always fire the drag event, and we use drag to move around the camera, so they couldn't click, and we had to fix that to an offset. That's in the Galaxy S, it works perfectly, but on HTC it just didn't work. It was easy to fix, but you have to know it.
So that was inside of the gesture detector then, that you were seeing that? Is that we're using that as your to determine whether you were dragging?
Yeah, were you using gesture detector, or were you just consuming touch events, raw touch events?
Yes, it's handmade, the gesture detection.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah, we said that's it's usually, in theory, all of our UI is using gesture detection. So or not all of it. A lot of our UI is using that same gesture detector. So I'm curious. There are pieces in which we actually go off and do our own thing. I think for List and a few other things we may be using other detectors, but usually that's how we determine whether we're touching or dragging. So I'm kind of surprised. And then, are you using scale gesture detector to do the multi-touch scale, or are you using or are you consuming the events and doing that yourself?
We get the events from GDX, and so we get the events and coordinates, and we calculate everything on our own.
Yeah, the UI is really smooth. I'm impressed by that.
Yeah, it looks really good. I mean, my one comment on the scaling is that the scaling isn't focused around the point in which you're pinching. Mm-hmm. So that was my one thing I noticed. Like in theory, if I go up here and I pinch, it should actually scale around that point, and it actually scales around the center of the screen. That would be my only comment on the pin zoom. It'd be cooler if it did that. But yeah, the game works really, really well. It runs great on the Transformer Prime. What device did you test this on, if I may ask?
We tested it on Samsung Galaxy S, and now on Transformer One.
Oh, okay.
And Nexus, Samsung.
Which Nexus?
The one from Samsung, the Galaxy.
Oh, the new one, Galaxy Nexus. Okay.
Cool.
Because the Nexus S was also from Samsung.
Yeah, exactly. We're that's what I'm carrying. So cool.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I don't really know what else to say as far as navigation. This is doing exactly what I would want it to do. The only thing I was thinking is I might want to see the title screen before I went back here, and so we come back to here and hitting back key here goes and exits. That was my only real comment about the navigation. Other than that, it looks good. There isn't any background music, so I don't really have a problem. There's no real problem with that. As far as that goes, and then it's just a question of the layouts. Actually, the layout work looks really good on tablets. Yeah. It looks fine on phones. So I think from that perspective, it's looking really good. It's running really well. So.
Yeah, it's a really great game in that respect. I think there's the one thing that I wanted to point out that I think you might want to consider is just the art style and the art of the game is so well done. I'm certain it's deliberate, but I'm a little concerned about the just all the sharp edges we see here, especially when you've got the floating islands. I don't know if there are any on this level or not. I don't think there are. Can we go back to where we were before?
Oh, did I lose?
Yeah. Wait. Oh, does this not swipe?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I sort of expect this to swipe, actually.
Yeah.
Maybe this?
Yeah, that's why.
This swipes.
I went to that's the reason why. Yeah. So this.
Okay. Those are some nice animations. I like that.
Yeah. It's really.
Okay, so when you're in the beginning, okay, you can see these floating islands here have these really, really sharp edges on them. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's just one of those things that sort of says, hey, maybe you didn't spend a whole lot of time on this part of the art, but you obviously did spend a lot of time on other parts of the art. So it's a shame that particular part doesn't seem as polished.
Yeah, these edges here especially. The other thing I was going to say, it'd be really cool to see some animation on the cow itself. Like I think you've got a cute little character there. It'd be cool to see his eyes roll or something, or him do something.
That's
other
true.
than just roll around. Even though it is kind of funny that he just rolls around, so you have to balance the comedy of that. But I think it'd be kind of cool to have him have a couple little behaviors thrown in there.
Yeah, that's advice that we give a lot, because we noticed that games where there's a lot of animation on the main character tend to do better because people begin to develop an emotional attachment to that character.
Yeah, so we'll put on our psychologist hat here, and I think exactly, it's that. But yeah, I think it's true, and so that's always something we do say, and it's been pretty consistent. We think it's part of the reason why certain games like Cutthroat and Angry Birds are actually as successful as they are, is because they really have spent a lot of time on those characters. Even though Angry Birds has just the smallest amount of animation, it's actually mostly the way in which they move the birds around. It's not even the frames of animation. It's that.
And Cut the Rope is like it's so manipulative. It's almost porn. I didn't actually understand the draw of Cut the Rope until I had a baby, and then you're like, oh, I see. Mm-hmm. That's a baby, and you've got to feed it, and we're like hardwired evolutionarily to do that.
Exactly. It's definitely got that component going to it. Well, it's great talking to you, and congratulations on the game, and we had a lot of fun with it. And as I said, the one thing I would say is to be really cool. I kind of felt that the mechanic would work just as well if I thought of it as a cannon rather than a slingshot. But that would be the only thing I really had any kind of issue with in terms of the controls. So
and we actually thought it's easier because everyone is playing Angry
Birds. Exactly.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it's my Worms background. I think that's the problem.
Maybe so.
My Team 17, experience.
Obviously, it's something that you get used to very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So
it is
not a big deal.
All right. Well, thank you for coming and joining us, and for nominating your app. It's great. It was great to have a chance to play it.
Yep. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Take care. Okay. All right. So thanks to Christian for that cow. It's funny because I want to say cow clicker, but
it's not a
cow clicker.
No,
just anything with
cow
cow
launcher.
In it. Yeah.
It's
completely different. Yeah. But so let's talk about something that space defense is sort of like the 90s trying to be the 70s, and this next one is a very modern game, but it brings to mind a genre that was popular back in the early 90s, which is the sort of really super complex MMO. Of course, you see a lot of the like EVE Online and that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's that it's what I would call almost a complicated web MMO. Like there's
Yeah.
really like this is the interface for this thing is really designed. You could run it through anything that can do kind of state changes. The graphics that it has are really there just to provide some color. They're not actually part of the game. There are some fixed graphics that are actually part of the game.
Trevor, let's bring up that awesome HDMI.
Yeah, we should. Let's see here.
We finally have a landscape game, and we are going to use it.
That's right. So there we are, and this is really impressive. First of all, just to say, it's all 2D art. That's just in a couple of layers, but it looks really high res, and there's some nice little effect there with the the blurring that's going on for the things that are in front that just
almost
happen.
like a sort of a depth of field.
Well,
thing
it actually
going on.
almost feels like depth of field, even though all it is that it's just blurry in front. I thought that was kind of funny. And you can see there's some nice alpha blending going on there as well. And I was like, cool, this is going to be a space shooter game, and it's going to be an MMO, and I was so excited. I was like, and then I started playing the game. And
did you start playing the game? Did you ever figure out the game?
Yeah. So
they have a tutorial button, but the tutorial is not for. It's like a web tutorial. Right?
It's a web. So I'm going to log in with my account name and password here, so you all know if you on the game you can see who I am, and hopefully it'll actually.
Oh, and by the way.
Oh wait, I've got no network. So that makes this game a lot less exciting. So network connection.
Sweet. How did that happen?
I don't know. Anyways, I think we might have to reboot this device.
I don't know.
If we want to actually get network.
No, we just need to turn Wi-Fi off and on again.
Oh, okay, that's a good point.
I got one of these at home.
Okay.
Connect. Connected. See?
Oh, you're right. Absolutely.
I'm
well,
good at this.
we are on Google Guest, which is the world's most complicated Wi-Fi network, I think. So, it's great for our testing purposes because it constantly fails us. So, we should have really, really robust Wi-Fi stacks now with this.
I would imagine the amount of electromagnetic radiation in this building is
we're all
enough
getting,
to...
Yeah, exactly. We're all doomed. That's
we're
what
going to die early.
That's right. All right, so now I should be able to actually log in and show you the game. So this game actually reminds me a little bit of a game that I played when I was in college called Multitrek. And it's with sort of this graphical overlay. But basically, here's the universe as we see it.
Graphical underlay, wouldn't you say?
yeah, something like that. And there's so this is our map of the universe, which is basically a bunch of squares that we can travel to. So I can say I want to go here and I want to jump to that square, and you see it's gonna give me. I can go jump 3, 2, 1, and now I'm warping through space. There we are. Well, that's massive change to what's going on. Let's see. Wait, I think I might have not actually warped all the way. Let's try it. Let's go. Got to make multiple jumps here. So basically, there we are. Now we're warping. You can see I'm moving. Oh wait, there's pirates. So I can attack the pirates. I just tapped on him. Oh, I just warped past him.
Wait, how are you going to attack the pirates?
I tapped on him.
I'm totally confused.
So the pirates are up there in the corner. You see, those are.
That. Yeah. Wait, that's a pirate?
Oh no, those are other ships. There was a pirate there, but he went away.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And you just tap on him?
Yeah, you tap on him. I think you might even auto attack him if you don't tap on him, but you definitely attack him when you tap on him. So yeah, there we are. You see, I've got 993 health left. There's no one in this. This is kind of boring, but I can go. I think mine this metal.
Wait, you got a. There
we are.
You got a dude now. Oh no, is that you?
That's me. Yeah. That's I'm Tamino. Sorry.
Okay.
That was a magic flute reference there. Oh wait, I've got 2 weak
El
outlaws,
Camino.
but I've got another. I guess he blew them up, or I just went to another. I warped away. I don't know. Anyway, so that's basically the game. There's all sorts of other stuff you can do. You can trade. It is this massively multiplayer online game. There are other people playing it that you see, but it's kind of a web game.
It does kind of remind me of like NetTrek or
even
old school MUDs. It's like this is a programmer's game, and it just got built up, and there's all kinds of cool stuff attached to it.
Yes.
But quite honestly, if you're not already in the community, there's somewhat less of an incentive to join.
And I will say, it's a difficult thing. This is an MMO, and it's difficult to know what to do in the case that you had like an incoming call. So So here's what happens if let's push the lock button here. We'll go back to our lock screen, and we'll hit the button again, and go back into the game. As you can see, the game's gone, and that's because as soon as the game locked, it's a real-time game, and so it logs you out and closes.
Right.
Now, probably logging you out is not such a bad idea. You could be, as you say, I'm in a sector where I could be attacked right now, so it's kind of frustrating that I've been logged out and it doesn't try to log me back in. But I kind of understand that.
I don't know about that.
But it's certainly not the most user-friendly behavior in the
Well,
world.
let's face it. If you're playing this game, if you're really into this game, you're going to hold all your calls. You're going to turn that phone right
That's
off.
right. You're going to disable incoming calls and disable messaging and all that kind of stuff, probably. But yeah, so that was one thing. Is it and that happens. No matter how the game is paused, you'll end up getting kicked out of the game. And it's kind of an interesting problem for any kind of real-time game. This is not. I usually would say how to solve it. There are games that solve this problem fairly well. The basic idea usually is that. You try to make sure if for some reason the user winks out of existence on the network or the game is going into the background, the usual thing to do is on the game side of thing, you try to anticipate what they would have done. You have some sort of default actions. I'm going to join his group, so I'm now a member of the Untouchables. Very cool. Here at the home world, and that kind of stuff. But really getting the user back into the game as quickly as possible is usually what you want to do, because you don't want this to be a barrier for someone to play your game. You want to make sure that that I can take my call, I get back in, boom, I'm right there. I might be paused, but at least I don't have to do anything substantial.
Right, and remember that mobile phones are supposed to look magic. Mobile devices in general. They're running multitasking operating systems with a very, very small amount of resources, and to the user, they're supposed to look as if they're just running everything, and everything's always smooth and everything's always beautiful. And I think that we at Google have had our own challenges with that. It's taken a long time to evolve to where we are, but at this point. Yeah, the operating system can support a lot of really nice, smooth, magical behavior, but the application has to cooperate.
Now, and the other thing I would comment about this is you're looking at the game. We might want to actually switch back to the game just for 1 second. I was going to comment on the UI. So we're on a Transformer Prime, and tablets are interesting because this is actually a MDPI device. So it's a medium density device, and it has a fairly small default font. And which is actually kind of nice for this sort of game, except that the text is really, really tiny.
Did you try this on a phone though?
I did not.
It's impossible.
Oh, is it really?
It's so difficult.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So this is really a tablet only game. Then is what we're what we're
Well,
saying,
you can play it,
Okay.
but I think I wouldn't want to learn on a phone.
Well, obviously,
too much information there.
Yeah, I have to admit, it did take me about 5 minutes to figure out what I was supposed to do in the game. Even reading through the tutorial, which is a website.
Well,
I would love to
MMOs are tough because you're interacting in real time with other people.
Yeah.
Nothing stops to let you change your options or whatever. So MMOs tend to have a lot of things on the screen because you don't want to go modal.
Yeah, and so another thing, I would really love a tutorial just to pull up a web view. I think it would make, because the main problem is the game, it kicks you out of the game.
The tutorial does pull up a web view, doesn't it?
No, it pulls up the website.
Puts you into the browser, right?
And so then what ends up happening is it kicks you out of the game, you hit the back key, and boom, your game is gone. And so, so it's really, the experience is really interesting. So
and it's hard to believe that they're actually using enough resources to justify that. I think you could probably.
There's a tutorial. I hit the back key, and then boom, the game is gone. So there's that, and I think that's a pretty good way to end things. There's just a lot of really cool polished stuff that can be done. But certainly, I know you guys are a small team, and I commend you on what you guys have done. And it's pulling this kind of experience into Android, into any kind of mobile environment is not easy, especially something that's really designed around a lot of text interaction. And so this is a really good start, but I think that it can go. You can just take this so much further, and I'd love to see you guys continue to go on it. I think you're going to have there's always going to be an audience for this kind of game, and it is fun, no question about that.
Yeah, it's really cool, and I'm really, really impressed with what you guys have been able to do. And if you look at their market page, their Google Play page, that actually says that they're supporting a small team on this game alone, which is really impressive. So great job.
So I want to go to the next game, which is another game that is Portrait. So I'm going to take this out, rotate it, so that we're ready on the next camera. We'll try to get this in place.
Camera up again, so it's all yucky.
So this is Elemental Jewels, and Elemental Jewels is actually a game which I am showing
Go
to
ahead
you.
and take a look at it.
Running in compatibility mode. And the reason why I'm running this in compatibility mode is because this is actually one of the first games that we've used that is totally unplayable if it's not in compatibility mode, which is a shame because the graphics actually are very high resolution and look good, but the frame rate is so disappointing on this device that it's almost unplayable. I was getting just a couple of frames a second playing the game, and it made it really, really hard to play. And also, the text is really, really small. So this is one of those rare games in which it actually makes a lot of sense to take advantage of some built-in system features. If you're not going to actually go through and optimize the game around the tablet, the easiest thing for you to do is actually take advantage of some of the features we have in Surface View. If you're using a Surface View to compose things. If not, then my recommendation is actually just to create a tablet layout using some larger fonts that really fits the screen. But in any case, in this particular case, actually going into compatibility mode made the game much more playable. So we'll take a quick look at it. It's very, very smooth in this mode. I can show you what it's like when you're running in the non-compatibility mode. I'll switch to it in a minute. The objective is this is a jewel matching game, and this is another one of those games in which you have to be really, really careful about the back key because it works in some places and not in others. So right now I'm here and hitting the back key does absolutely nothing. And what should it do? Well, it probably should take me back to the screen before then. So there's quite a lot of that in the game. When you actually get into the game, hitting the back key brings up the pause screen. And that's cool. And you hit the back key again, and then nothing happens. So it's sort of like halfway there. And it's what we tell everyone. We tell all game developers, go through and make sure that on every single screen, even if the screen only comes up for a second, that the back key does something. It's really, really important that the navigation feel normal. So now I have to go back to the screen and click resume. But the game itself is a jewel match 4 kind of game. And your actual goal, as you see, is to get all these percentages of jewels that you have at the bottom of the screen. And it's totally fun. And it's actually, and some of the jewels you actually get by getting sets of things, all these ones at the bottom of the screen. And there's additional objectives that you actually, once you've gotten through all of these objectives at the bottom of the screen, then you actually have to go and collect some special items that you have to knock to the bottom that fall off at the end, basically, in order to actually finish the level. So
that's pretty. It's a pretty game.
It's a pretty game. And
how about are there power-ups? Are there
these guys take out rows. You can see, depending on the order, that takes out a row. This will take out an area. So those are things that kind of help you out. I didn't actually see any other sort of power-ups, but I could be wrong. I didn't play the game extensively, but I did play it quite a bit, enough to know that it didn't want to play it in regular mode. Let's go back to what stretch to fill screen now actually looks like.
Right.
Okay. So this is the performance we get in stretch to fill screen. First of all, the graphics look beautiful. It's just like they're really, really high res. But the problem is that the game just slows down to like an unplayable level of slowness. Yeah, and so
yeah, why is that, Dan?
I have some theories. I think there's a gradient that's drawn behind the background, a very subtle gradient.
Oh,
and my theory is that they're drawing the gradient in real time rather than drawing it once and caching it. That's my theory, but I actually don't know the answer to that. Another thing that would be great would be to see a real tablet layout for this game that has some larger font sizes. Because you can see that...
there's a couple that are just unreadable. I mean,
yeah,
check that out.
On a phone device, they're fine, but on this device, they're just really, really small. And with the beautiful high-res graphics that are here, anyways, these are just guesses. I didn't have a time to really, research extensively. What I do know is that even turning on hardware acceleration for this, forcing it, did not actually help the performance much. It helped it a little bit, but hurt it in other ways. So there's something that's going on that's clearly just drawing like crazy and calculating like crazy, especially on this being a Transformer Prime. This is actually a pretty fast device.
Yeah, so this is one of those places where you might want to do a little profiling.
Yeah, so what I usually do is use, there's actually a really cool thing you can use called Trace View inside of Android, and it actually will show you all of your view drawing, and it's very, very cool. You just turn it on, and then it starts showing you all of the draw calls that go through, and then you can turn it off. So that's what I would do, since I think this is done with our layout system, though I'm not sure. But if that's what's going on, that may help a lot, and you can look at the timing of each one of your draws and see how long it's taking. So that would be my recommendation. But other than that, I really like the game. Again, back key navigation is really, really important. This game actually pauses when you go to the lock screen, which is a nice thing for a game to do. It also automatically eliminates the sound on lock screen issue since it doesn't play sound when it's locked. So another easy way to
play sound when it's paused.
When it's paused. That's when it's paused. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, and that is always our recommendation: is you should pause the, when you get an on pause, you should pause the game and stop the music, and then wait for the user to restart it. That way, you just dodge all of the issues about, is the phone on, is it in the right state, has the lock screen gone away. You just get rid of all of that.
And I actually think it's from a user experience point, it's really good, because even if I now go and I've unlocked the phone and I go back, I don't have music that's immediately blaring at me.
Exactly.
Which I think so. I actually really like this experience.
Yeah, you always got to think about the user that has been playing the game at the bus stop, and now they've gotten to work and they pull the device out of their pocket and unlock it, and what's going to happen? Are they going to get music? Is it going to be obvious they're playing video games?
Yeah.
Or is the phone just going to be in a state where it's quiet?
So this is actually one of the tricky things with layout views, and I'll show you is that if you're doing the kind of thing where you have a bitmap and you're stretching it, it's difficult to say like maximum stretch. You end up with in this particular game where actually what you'd really like to see is that Elemental Jewels title doubled in size, but we're doing like basically you're setting that particular layout to being just fill parent, and so it's going to and yet it's going to be the height of the content, which is usually fill parent and wrap content. So you could do a couple of things with this. You could actually set it. You set it to not wrap content, but set the maintain aspect ratio flag, which would look a little bit better here on the bitmap view that's there. Assuming that's what it is, it's hard to tell whether this is a real list or not, but that's my theory. And also again, just you see when you're on a tablet, obviously this looks really, really small, and having some large font sizes and a different layout would really help it.
Either way, there's really no excuse for this. We talked to a lot of people that are like, hey, we found, just like the last guy, right? We had one device to test on. Now we've got like 3 or 4, but we're still going to find these, odd devices that just don't meet our expectations. But this sort of layout issue is not a device-dependent issue.
Yeah.
It's dependent on the screen size, the DPI, the OS version, and all of those things can be simulated right inside of Eclipse or IntelliJ or anything else that uses our layout editor.
Yeah.
And you'll be able, and you won't catch everything, but egregious issues like this you will catch if you just take the time to, click those drop downs and make sure that you've actually taken a look at all of the major types of devices.
And it may not even be you might not even need a separate layout. You might just need some different sizes. Like you can have different kind of minimum sizes for different screen sizes in terms of device density independent pixels, and that might be enough for this kind of game to just fix all these things and make it look fairly smooth across a wide variety of screen sizes. So it could be as simple as just literally adding a couple of constants in. That say, oh, we're on a large screen device. Therefore, I want the size of my list item to be twice the size of this default text.
I think that the fixes are simple. The important thing is just that you've done the testing. You make sure that you've seen your layout at different sizes. And I know, every time I do a layout, this is kind of a pain.
Yeah.
It's not fun, but at the same time, neither is finding out that you've got a 1-star review because your app like crap on some device.
Yeah, and the only way to really test these kind of fill rate issues is usually you'll see them in the emulator first of all. I mean, this kind of fill rate issue that we're seeing here, which I suspect is
no, we're talking about the performance issue.
Yeah, the performance issue. Yeah, you probably will see that in the emulator if you choose a large screen. I mean, that's because the emulator is really, really sensitive to those kinds of issues because it's running an emulation of our compositing system on top of an emulation of OpenGL. So you'll usually see frame rate issues really, really quickly unless you're running the latest version of our emulator. That's what you're going to see. So let's go on to the next title. And we're almost done here. So we've got...
it's time for the lightning round.
It's time for the lightning round. So we've got Spray the Wall. And
Spray the Wall. I'm so impressed that you got this to work.
So
my Galaxy Nexus wouldn't run Spray the Wall. I just went to a black screen.
Okay. So we can actually switch to the HDMI, I think. Hopefully, is it up? Is that working?
Check it out. All right.
Woo! Excellent. Spray the Wall. First of all, awesome job on this menu. I just wanted to say it.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. It
could be a little higher res for a tablet, like if you actually use vector graphics for that. But yeah.
So again here I'd like to see larger text sizes. But you can see it's very customizable, And we're in freehand mode, so we can free spray the walls. And my biggest thing about this was actually, this is so cool, but from an interface perspective, I just thought that I would be able to hit the spray can and then spray on the wall.
Right, it feels like such a missed opportunity.
And instead, the way you actually control it is you actually move it like it was a joystick, and then this here allows you to control the spraying. So you actually can spray it.
So it's like a dual stick game.
It's like a dual stick game.
But it's not even a particularly good dual stick. That stick is tiny.
Yeah, and I think the problem is there is
You know what? Switch back to the camera, Trevor. I just want to show this really quick. If you can just get the camera view on the device.
So the big problem is there's two problems with this.
Yeah, this is the entire range of the spraying. A lot of times we see things that are way too big here, and that's a problem. But in this case, wow, way too small.
Well, the problem is actually I think that it's the right it's the right size because it's actually sized based on the DPI. Like I don't actually mind the size of it. The big problem is it's right at the edge. And so if I go like this and I pull off of it, all of a sudden it loses the fact that I'm trying to drag. And it doesn't have to.
Well, you've also got some serious gimbal lock up there.
Yeah. So you see what I mean? So that's yeah, exactly. I've ended up making.
They're called quaternions. Look them up.
So but other than that, the game, I think it's a really cool concept. I think really the control was the issue, and you see, especially if the other thing is, if I'm actually going off the screen here, it's a question of what I really want to do. Like if I'm holding it like this, do I want to know that I've gone off the screen and leave it in that current place or not? I don't know. But this is certainly the experience is pretty bad from a usability perspective. Yeah. Also, you can see
and again,
it doesn't always catch my taps even.
It didn't need to be that way, right?
It's a lot of work. I mean, there's work involved in actually, saying I've touched the screen here.
Oh, sure.
And I want to draw the wall there. There's a math. That's.
Well, yeah, you got to do a ray trace.
Yeah, I mean, it's and that's the only. So I would say that's really.
But he's probably doing the ray trace anyway to figure out where to put the paint in the texture. Right?
Well, that's true. He's got this point here. He has to know where that point is. So that means if he knows where this point is, he probably should be able to translate here and do that point over there with the same math.
Well, plus it's a really trivial piece of math. I mean,
that's right. Exactly.
It's not difficult. It's just you just have to do it. Yeah. So I would say really interesting concept.
It just
definitely needs a little polish, but the controls kill it.
Yeah, it needs the joystick. If you actually had a plug-in joystick, it would be awesome to have this interface. And actually, I think that with an external joystick, it'd be cool. I would keep this if the user had a joystick plugged into it. Use the HID interface, read those axes. That would be great. But if you actually don't have a joystick plugged in, then it's got to be touch for this kind of game. It would just make the game so much more fun, and it would make it a lot easier. And I think maybe that's part of the problem is that this is one of those games where the challenge is in the controls. And we're in freestyle mode, so you're not seeing the game. But also, it was a little tricky to figure out which one of those was actually back to the menu with those little icons. So
that was a little tricky, yeah.
All right, so we're loading. Let's go back to the just to show you the game itself is really quickly since we're in our last 10 minutes, and I don't want to not spend some time here. So the actual game is you're trying to trace these drawings, and then so you can see your goal. You have to use multiple colors, and then what you end up getting is something that looks like this. So there's what I have to actually trace. And so you can see if you could just draw with your finger, the game would actually be fairly easy.
Yeah.
So that's I think the problem with saying, we should just allow them to trace. So that's it's.
But
one of those
again, I mean, this is what Chris Pruitt used to say, right? Is that you should be fighting the game, not the controls.
Yeah. Exactly.
If the game is all about how crummy the controls are, then maybe your game design needs some thought.
Absolutely, yeah. So that would be my only thought on that is that it's sometimes designing the challenge around the controls is not the best experience, especially.
All right, boom, lightning.
All right, so here we are. So fine.
Is this the last one?
This is the last one. So,
Hothead, love those guys.
Yeah. I just want to put the screen on this game. This is a beautifully done game.
I love that guy.
I mean, first of all, this is exactly how to give character to a screen without actually doing any work. So he follows your finger as you trace through the menu. So
that
first
is so
of all,
awesome.
No frames of animation required here to do this, and it's just kind of a cool little start to what is really a quirky and beautiful game design.
But notice also they didn't just trivially follow it. It's got some physics to it. there's a lot of care taken to make it really nice.
Now the game is really simple. You actually play the game just by using a touch in order to raise and lower your guys.
Yeah, I mean this is just a single touch game. But the thing is, this sort of single touch control has been done over and over and over again, but never quite like this.
Yeah. So what you have to do is then you have to tap things in addition to flying the plane, which is where it gets kind of fun and complicated. And the game is actually really, really deep, very varied. There's quite a lot to do in the game, and beautiful, professionally done game by Hothead. Congratulations to them. I actually looked at this game to try to find bad things about it, and honestly, this is just a great execution of the game design they had. So I didn't have a lot of feedback, to be honest. If there was anything about the game, the tutorial works really well.
You got to pick up more zombies, and then you can go infect Portland.
Yes, that's the first. That I actually have already infected Portland in this game, unfortunately. So yeah, you can't see that.
What do you infect next?
So you can land. So I'm not going to land in Portland. Let's keep going. There's San Francisco. Basically, your goal is to infect the entire United States, I think. With zombies, that's one of the goals in the game. There's a lot of varied things to do in the game. As you get further and further along in the game, there's
hey, don't forget to pick up your zombie parachutist, man.
Oh, did I not? Oh, yeah, exactly. And you say now I got a brain scratcher. So there's all sorts of things to buy in the game. This has all sorts of interesting monetization things that not everyone is doing. So one of the things is they have this little scratcher things that you can either buy or find. And they have the sort of guaranteed scratcher. This is a special item. I can follow this guy, except I'm running into walls, which isn't good, into rocks and stuff. And there we are.
Whoa!
Big prize!
Woohoo!
So there's just lots and lots of stuff to find in this game. So, all right. Oh, that was bad. Okay. Sometimes I don't know what's bad. What's good.
Yeti!
Oh, no, I'm almost out of fuel. Wait, maybe that cloud makes me go up. Ah, nice. Almost out of fuel.
Oh, so you use fuel every time you hit the screen.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't notice that when I was playing. That's cool.
Out of fuel, no!
Boom.
But I'm already dead, so I guess I'm just dead again. But
your plane is dead.
My plane is
you
dead.
Crashed your plane. You crashed it on. You know what? Planes don't rise from the dead.
That's true. I've ruined my chance to infect another city. Anyways, honestly, this is an example. From a navigation perspective, virtually everything navigates to some place that makes sense. Woohoo!
And it's just a really cute, really really polished, really well done game.
Yeah.
But you'd expect nothing less from Hothead. Is a very well established developer. They did Death Spank, they did Sea Stars, they did. They've got their new Big Win Sports Series coming out. I mean, they do a lot of this stuff, and they came over from Xbox and PlayStation Network.
Yeah, they're great guys, and this is a really fun title. I wish them the best on this one.
So you don't have to be this polished, you don't have to be this professional to be successful on Android. But don't hurt.
Yeah, it certainly
this is a good game.
Yeah, it really, really is. So thanks to the Hothead guys for nominating it, and of course for writing it and bringing it to Google Play. It's always a pleasure, and so that's why we wanted to save that for last. So I hope some of you stuck with us through our kind of exciting technical day. But
we didn't have a reboot.
We did not have a reboot. That's right.
We are pulling ahead.
That's right.
And I don't know. Were we boring? We were probably boring.
Probably boring.
Yeah, but it's funny because we had one guy say that we're awesome, and we had another guy, commenter, I can't remember their alias, but YouTube commenter who said, "Don't take this the wrong way, but you guys are really boring."
Well, we have the viewer graph. We can find the boring parts.
That's true. Yeah, we can find where people. But
what that's not going to tell us is how should I take that? What would be the right way to take that? Please help me understand that.